Hi everybody, welcome to or back to my channel. My name is Rachel. Today I want to go over everything that I read in September. I read 8 books in September and I want to just kind of dive in and let you guys know all about them. So the first one I kind of want to get out of the way is Rhythm of War by Sanderson. I technically finished this book in September, yes, but I finished it on September 1st, and I read the majority of that book in August, but when I filmed my August wrap up, I hadn't finished it yet. So I just want to put that in here real quick. I loved that book. It's probably my favorite so far of the Stormlight Archive series. So I wanted to get that book out of the way. My favorite so far, Rhythm of War. Technically finished in September, but I wish I could have counted it for August. So anyway, on to the first book. So kind of the same thing with Rhythm of War. The day that I'm filming this is October 1st, and I literally have like, I don't know, 10, 15 pages left, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe like 20 pages left of My Roommate is a Vampire. But I read the majority of this book in September, so I want to count it as September, so I'm preemptively putting it in here because I'm going to finish it tonight after I'm done filming this video. So yes, My Roommate is a Vampire. Again, without having completely finished it, I think this book is probably going to be around a 3, maybe 3.25 stars, depending on how it ends. I thought it was super cute. It's a little bit cringy, a little bit. They do reference Taylor Swift, and I'm not the biggest fan of when books reference like modern things like technology and, you know, artists like Taylor Swift and things like that. But our main characters are a human girl and a vampire and he is hundreds of years old. They are roommates, as the title says, and she's basically helping him integrate back into society as best as possible. And so I feel like for this book, talking about Twitter and Instagram and things like that are fine. I understood why they did it and it made sense, and so I didn't hate it. The Taylor Swift reference was kind of funny. They mentioned it. It was a fairly large chunk, not like pages, it was just like a couple paragraphs, but I wish that it would have like been a little bit shorter of a reference. I thought it was really cute. I mean, I love Taylor Swift. She's one of my favorite artists, so that's not why I didn't like it. It's just personally, I don't like when books reference modern things or like, you know, social media and stuff like that in books. Unless, of course, like in this one, it's necessary, then it's fine. So again, depending on how it ends, between 3 and 3.25 stars. I genuinely enjoyed this book. I think 3 stars is, you know, you thoroughly enjoyed something, you engaged with it, you know, you would recommend it to people, but it wasn't, you know, like your favorite book ever. So 3.25 stars for My Roommate is a Vampire. And then to get the next book out of the way, which I feel like most people, you could probably tell what it is from the sprayed edges, but Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I was not too sure how I was going to feel about this book. I love R.F. Kuang. I read Yellowface and the entire Poppy Word trilogy. I need to read Babel, but I was really, really hesitant to read it because I heard that it's just like extremely academic. But I went and saw R.F. Kuang speak, and when she was speaking about Catabasis, she also mentioned Babel, and hearing her talk about that book made me want to read that book. And I know we're not here for that book, we're here for Catabasis, but it is now on my TBR, so hopefully I will eventually read that, and then I will be all caught up with her entire backlist, which is really exciting. But Catabasis, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I believe I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars, something like that. Again, thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the concept of this book, and R.F. Kuang obviously is a fantastic writer and she writes so beautifully, but I didn't love our characters as much as I wanted to. So I think that was kind of my downfall with this book. I loved the setting, like hell, that's crazy. I feel like, you know, the way that she wrote hell, which, you know, obviously people don't know what it is, and so there's different interpretations of it, and hers is more of Dante based, and I'm stumbling over my words, but I don't want to say I thoroughly enjoyed it because I've said that a million times, but I did. I really did enjoy it, but it wasn't my all-time favorite of her books, but it was good. Here's our cute little signature. I got my Poppy War, my special edition of Poppy War, signed with my name, and then this one was just pre-signed when I bought the book. So yeah. The next book that I read was Cabin: Off the Grid Adventures with a Clueless Craftsman by Patrick Hutchins. This one is a memoir, so I definitely recommend reading this book, especially if you like memoirs. He's not a celebrity or anything like that. He's just like a regular dude who wrote a book about his life and buying a cabin when he knew nothing about carpentry, building, renovating, anything like that. And I did an immersive read, so I have the physical book for my library, and I also got the audiobook for my library as well. And I would recommend doing it that way just because the physical book does have photos inside, pictures of him at the cabin that he's remodeling and rebuilding and everything. So I definitely think that doing an immersive reading experience with this book is the way to go. I gave this book 5 stars, and when it comes to memoirs in my rating system, I either rate them 5 stars or I don't rate them at all, because I feel like, how can you rate somebody's life? You know, like that's obviously their experience, and I feel like, you know, you can't rate someone's life experiences or how somebody interprets, you know, the things that they're going through in life. I think that you can objectively rate their writing, you know, their prose and things like that, but I just feel more comfortable if I love a memoir, if I enjoy a memoir, even if it's not like the greatest memoir I've ever read. If I liked it, I'm giving it 5 stars, and if I didn't like it, I either probably stopped reading it or I just don't rate it. But this one I really did thoroughly enjoy. Wow, that's like my favorite thing to say right now, thoroughly enjoy. I highly recommend this book to people. Like I said, if you like memoirs, even if you don't like memoirs, but you want to read something a little bit outside of your comfort zone, but you know, you don't want to read a celebrity memoir, or you don't want to read something that is super heavy, I think that this book is fantastic. He writes in a very approachable way, and at least for me personally, I felt like it was really easy to connect to him because, again, he's just a regular dude living his life, working a 9 to 5 at this job that he's like about, and he finds this cabin, and it brings him out of like this everyday slump that he's in, and really brings him to something new in his life that's exciting and fun, and it helps him reconnect with his friends and himself. And yeah, so I 100% recommend this book, and the audiobook is narrated by him, so that's why I recommend, if you're gonna read it and you have the ability to do so, to do an immersive read, because I think it's always the best when you listen to a memoir when it's narrated by the author. But yeah, so that was Cabin, 5 stars. Next is Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung. This is a short story collection that I don't know why I thought that it was like an actual like short like novel, not short stories, even though it literally says stories right there. I don't know why I thought that. Sorry, I'm like all over the place because my back kind of hurts. This book, if you watched my September Hopefuls, you saw me talk about this, and you saw me say that I wanted to read something weird. This book delivered in the weird. Gosh, I can't remember right now what I rated this. I'll put it up on the screen what I rated it, but I think I rated it between a 3 and a 4 star. This book was so strange, and it definitely falls under that like weird translated fiction that I thoroughly enjoy. The first story, warning if you're sensitive to like gross things, the first story is literally about poop. Wasn't my favorite story, so hear me out, was not my favorite story. The second story was literally about this woman who thought she was pregnant when in reality she literally just, you know, had to get rid of some stuff in her bowels. That was the second story. Again, not my favorite, but there were stories in here that I did enjoy, and they were strange and weird in the best way. Cursed Bunny was okay. So the head, not my favorite, didn't enjoy that one. The embodiment, actually kind of gross, even for me. And then Cursed Bunny was fine. It was you know, mediocre. If I was rating it on its own, I'd probably rate it like a 2-star. The Frozen Finger, Snare, Goodbye My Love. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it, which is why I believe I gave this 3 stars. If you are not comfortable reading things that are disturbing, graphic, like just out of nowhere, strange, odd, unusual, then don't read this book. Like, genuinely, do not pick it up. Don't go near it. But if you enjoy strange translated fiction that I would categorize as that weird women, like unhinged women fiction, then pick this book up, because it is definitely that. It is strange. It is like, the guy who recommended me this book at the bookstore, when I bought it, when I went up to him and I said, I want something weird, I want something strange, I want something that makes me go, what did I just read? He delivered. That is what this book is. So if you want that, then pick this up. If you are not ready for that, then please do not pick this book up. But I did enjoy it. Okay, this was the other short story collection that I read this month for my Pour Over Prose, which is my mobile used bookstore pop-up. Our September book club pick was Sabrina and Corina. Again, I don't know why, like, it says stories right there. I don't know why I do this, where I just like don't look into things and I'm like, I thought this was a whole book. It's not. It's a short story collection. But as you can see by the tabs, I really enjoyed this one. I gave it, again, I think 3 stars, 3.5 stars. Kind of in the same vein as Cursed Bunny, as far as like, generally speaking, I enjoyed most of the stories, but I didn't love all of them. So that's why I'm giving it kind of that mid-range rating. But as far as like themes of this novel, I genuinely appreciated everything that this author wrote and the way that she wrote it. We picked this book because it's by a Latin author, and September 15th through October 15th or 10th or something like that is Spanish and like Latin Heritage Month. And so we picked this for that reason. I would recommend this book to anyone. I don't know if this book would connect with everyone, but I would recommend it to everybody because I think, again, it's an important book to read. Okay, on a lighter note, Pines by Blake Crouch. I'm like kind of really disappointed with this book. I enjoyed it. It was on track to being a 5-star book for me. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I was in it. I was sucked in from the get-go. You are immediately thrown in to this crazy world, or town really, with this narrator who knows nothing. Like, you only know what he knows, and you're trying to figure out, like he is, what the heck is going on in this town. And it is so eerie and so strange and so bizarre. But then it just kind of gets like mediocre, kind of like towards the latter half of the book. I don't know. It just wasn't what I was hoping for. I was hoping for something kind of like out there and just super odd. And I don't want to say what I was hoping it would be, because then you'll know that it's not those things, and I don't want to spoil it, because I do think that it could work really, really well for some people. It's just not my favorite kind of theme in a book. And so when I got to the end and I was like, oh, well, that's disappointing, or like, you know, that was kind of a letdown, it kind of dropped the rating for me a little bit. Again, I don't remember what I rated this, so sorry, I'll put the rating here. But yeah, it was fine. It's also a trilogy. There's 2 other books, and I do think I will eventually read those other 2 books. But in the beginning, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I need to read those 2 books. Like, as soon as this book ends, like, I need to pick those up. By the time I got to the end, I was like, oh, okay, I'm good, you know? But I would recommend this book to people who like Blake Crouch, obviously, or who like mystery thrillers, again, kind of that weird, eerie kind of feeling that books give you, or some books give you, if you enjoy that, I would recommend Pines. But, you know, if it's been on your list and it's not like pulling you in right now, then don't worry about it. Like, I wouldn't say it's like an urgent, you have to pick this book up, 5 stars, you know, so yeah. Okay, and then the last 2 books that I read this month, I keep saying this month, in September, were on my Kobo. Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruocchio. I think that's how you say it. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. The beginning of this book, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this book is, I mean, it is fantastic. It is. But I was like, oh shoot, this is going to be a 5-star book for me. I was like, this is going to be fantastic. This is going to be like my next favorite thing on this planet. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. But by the end, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. You know, I am enjoying the characters. I'm enjoying the world building. It's really interesting because it's told almost like a memoir, but obviously it's fiction. It's a space opera. Sorry, I didn't say that. It's a space opera, so it's sci-fi, and yeah, but it's told almost like a memoir, and it's just really interesting. And I would encourage people to read this book. This series I think is going to be like 6 or 7 books long, and I am here for it. Like, I want to read all of them. But at the end of the book, I wasn't like, oh, I have to read the second one like right now. You know, I want to read it, and I've heard that the second one is just, it's even better than the first one. So I'm like, yeah, I'm here for that. I definitely want that. But it didn't, like I said, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have to drop everything that I'm doing and read this book right this second, you know? So 4 stars for Empire of Silence. Okay, and then the last book, which I want to say was actually maybe like one of the first books I read in September, but the last book they were talking about is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I actually have the physical copy of this book, but it is somewhere deep in my shed outside. And at the time that I'm filming this, it is like pitch black at night. Of course. Outside is pitch black outside, and I do not want to go out there right now digging through to get the book. So we're going to be talking about it on my Kobo. Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I loved this book. I gave it 4 stars, hear me out, because I feel like the rest of this series could be even better. And not to say that this book wasn't fantastic, because it was. A lot of my mutuals on TikTok are just like absolutely raving about this book, and I see people like bawling their eyes out and crying about this series. And as much as I wanted to give it 5 stars, I was like, you know, I feel like Pierce Brown, he could do more, you know? So I'm holding out that 5-star rating for the later books in the series. But I would 100% recommend this book. It's a sci-fi, and at the beginning of this book, it just like punches you right in the gut, like right from the get-go. Oh my gosh, like by chapter 4 or 5, I had like tears in my eyes. I was just... I don't even have words, honestly, for this book. Just feelings and emotions, you know? Just like distraught. For the first half of this book, like that's the feeling that you have, is just like utter devastation for your main character. And by the end of the book, you hold all of this anger, just like Darrow does, the main character, for the society that he's in. And it is just fantastic. Like I said, I know that the rest of the series is going to be fantastic. So I'm holding out that 5-star rating. But this book was so good. So if you are debating on whether or not to read Red Rising, I say yes, do it 100%. Do it for yourself and your future self, because you're going to love it. So these are all the books that I read in September, or will be finishing in September. I hope you guys found something fun to put onto your TBR. I hope that, you know, we maybe had some similar ratings, and if we didn't, that's fine too. I'd love to hear what you guys rated some of these books, or if these books are on your TBR, or if you're adding any of these books to your TBR from my reviews of them, which I would be shocked because my reviews are not great. I tend to ramble and talk a lot. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, then don't forget to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you all in the next one. Bye.